What is going on, everybody? You know, I gotta say, working 5 days a week, numerous nights of movie premieres and screenings. Saturday and Sundays are typically my rest day, so I have to say, it takes a very special type of movie to make me want to get up on my rest day on Saturday, or just any other things I want to do on Saturday, to go to the theaters to see something, or bright and early at that. And for sure, this past Saturday, absolutely was one of those type of movies. And that movie was Sonic the Hedgehog. And, you know, before we actually get into this movie, which was just absolutely spectacular, let's go down to history. So April 2019, trailer came out, and everybody, I think, was like, what am I looking at? Because, Sonic was just unrecognizable. It was just so bad. It was so bad. I mean, the meme guys of the world, and the GIF people of the world had a field day of that first iteration of Sonic. But lo and behold, November 2019, we were all saved as they went back to the drawing boards and they redid the animation, and we got the Sonic we deserve with the trailer we deserve, and it was absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. And thus, with the casting of people like Tika, Sumpter, and Jim Carrey, which we'll talk about, you just knew that you were in store for one hell of a ride. So, you know, Sonic, global phenomenon of a video game, brought to you by the property of Sega. This story, we follow the world's fastest hedgehog as he makes his new home on Earth, and you know this, and why he's, you know, trying to get used to being on Earth and so on. At the same time, he's also being targeted because Sonic is kind of getting bored. Doesn't have any friends. He doesn't know what to do with himself, and eventually one day he gets frustrated and he does a sonic boom. I know what I did there, and of course, it made all the higher military officials say, like, what was that? That wasn't an EMP. They couldn't figure it out. They done checked off every box they could, and they had to get really desperate. And when they got really desperate, they had to bring in the big guns and Dr. Robotnik, who's played by Jim Carrey. But, and at the same time, Jim Carrey is looking for global dominance with all his tech, and it just sends us on a crazy adventure as we get one of the world's most brilliant scientists, Dr. Robotnik, against the fastest blue hedgehog alien, and while he's on the road to not only his safety and actually try to escape Earth, but actually cost us some things on his bucket list before he do so. But anyway, let's talk about a little bit of things. So as soon as the movie starts, I mean, you get the Sonic rings that comes out with the Paramount logo, and then the Sega logo hit. You see all of the Sega franchise games that you just grew up loving, and it's just so triggering of the childhood, because you just see all your games that you were playing all the time. Like, look, I had a Sega Genesis. I still got a Dreamcast over there. Sega CD. I mean, do we have to go to the 16-bit Sega? I had these things, okay? So I'm a Sega diehard all the way to the end. Game Gear, all that good stuff. It was just so cool to see that. And before you knew the movie that you were there to see, just seeing that just really puts you back as your 5, 6, 17-year-old self. And it was a good time. And I know I'm jumping around just a little bit, but like me being a diehard, Sonic fan, Sega fan, and at my age, 'cause I'm not going to reveal that, I had a good time. Where kids behind me was having a good time. People who were not familiar with Sonic and or Sega was having a good time. Everybody, I think, left that movie theater was like, I love that movie because the comedy was so good. The adventure had its stakes on it. The animation was amazing. It looked real practical, considering you had, the realism on top of the animation with it. It just was just really put together, really, really good. Not to mention the old school Sonic themes that was being played. It was such a good time. But anyway, let's just talk about it just a little bit. Now, I gotta be honest. For some reason, Major Bennington, who's played by Neal Madonna, he just always is a bad guy in the movie. Every time you see him, like, no matter his role, he just always there as a bad guy, and he's just there doing this thing again. But Ben Schwartz, who voices Sonic the Hedgehog, did an amazing job. And Sonic teams up with his best friend Tom, who's played by James Marsden, is a fantastic combination and dynamic between the two of them. Absolutely, it's easy to get behind the good guys here. But let me tell you, the very first moment that Jim Carrey hits the screen, very first moment, it's over. It's over. The dude is absolutely just phenomenal. You just knew when he took this casting, you knew he was going to kill it. And as much as I am going to talk about Jim Carrey, I have to say that his counterpart in Agent Stone, who was played by Lee Medu, the two of them together gives you every bit of the laughs plus more throughout this entire movie. You have to give Lee big props and big credit for standing next to Jim Carrey and being absolutely fantastic, because Jim Carrey is absolutely the man in this movie. And now, as far as Dr. Robotnik, a lot of cool tech. You expect that. They're thoroughly on board with that. Again, the casting. I feel like the casting, they did a really good job because they put a lot of people in familiar roles that they're used to playing. So when you watch the movie, you're going to see people who played in similar roles in other movies. I mean, I think it just makes sense for sure. And obviously, Jim Carrey being cast as Dr. Robotnik, you just absolutely just knew that was high potential for this movie to be good, and nonetheless, it was. There was a ton of popular catchphrases and slogans. Now, I want to be clear when I say this, because I don't want, like, that's very true to that statement. There were a ton of popular catchphrases and slogans in this movie. However, my only criticism about this movie is that there was really none of the popular Sonic or Dr. Robotnik catchphrases in this movie. The ones that, you're used to hearing, when you're playing the games and so forth. There was none of that. Like, and I'm very familiar with them, considering that some of my work in the past of talking to some of the voice actors of that contributed to those games, and have those conversations, like, and hearing them talk and hearing them when they even doing the interview say some of the catchphrases, because they just come like that, and you just don't forget these type of things. But they just were just not in the movie at all. One other thing I think is very important too. Now, we're talking about a speedster in Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the fastest hedgehog in all of the world. So when you're talking about speed and how they depict the speed on the screen, much like the Flash and much like Quicksilver and X-Men, you always wonder, well, how are they going to do the slow motion scene with Sonic? And I will say that in this one, I still will be very honest. The Quicksilver scene. And what was it, First Class, or was it First Class? Still the best. But this one on here was very, very cool. I really dug it. It's definitely up there, worth talking about. It was very, very cool. But there's a lot of other cool scenes in this movie as well too. When Sonic first gets his iconic red shoes, you just can't help but just scream with joy inside like the little kid. Sonic does the tapping waiting. Doing the tapping foot waiting in one scene was so cool. But I just think, like, the animation was really good, really on par, like with like the Detective Pikachu, like that good. As far as the animation, I'm glad, because I got to be honest, if they had went with the first original design, I could not have enjoyed this movie. Matter of fact, I couldn't even stop thinking about how much of, if the design was still that design, could I have made it through it. And absolutely, the answer is just absolutely no. But just thank God for the reanimation, because I just wouldn't have known what to do with this movie. But nonetheless, I just really loved a lot of the chase scenes, especially in the final act, was really, really good. It really took you on the ride, and it just was just so in touch with your childhood and how it was just moving throughout it, just like on the game. It was just so, so good. But like I said, the hardcore fan, kids, everyone will like it. And when you hear the Green Hill Classic Sonic theme at the end, icing on the cake. The voice work, with, like I said, by Ben Schwartz was so good. Gotta give him his props. But nonetheless, this was an absolute good movie. It's coming out February 14th. You definitely want to check it out. I mean, look, I know it's Valentine's Day weekend, and there's a lot of other things and little date and romantic movies that you may potentially have to go see. But I have to throw this in the hat that Sonic is the movie you want to see this weekend because it's just that good. And it's just good for everyone. And for it to be a comedy and just really family oriented for anybody, this is the movie you want to see. People, by all means, if there's anything you got from this review, please stay throughout the entire credit scene. You have a stinger before the credits. During the credits, you get some nice animation, and then you get an after the credits that is going to make you lose your mind. I cannot wait for what's to come with this franchise. Sonic the Hedgehog 2020 was an amazing movie, and I hope you guys like it. Hope you like this review, and as always, stay tuned for the next one.